What's up guys? Another beautiful sunny day here in Florida. We're gonna get on some fishing in a minute. Now if you guys are anything like me, then you fish the same spots over and over and over again. And while they're great and they're known to produce, I know that there are tons of bodies of water out there with really good fish that I'm missing out on. So I've made it my mission to go on a hunt to find some of these places. I'm gonna bring you guys along with me, which brings us to the purpose of today's video. This is episode 1 of a new series I'm starting called Fresh Pond Fridays, where I'm gonna fish a brand new body of water every single week until I land my biggest bass yet. So you guys make sure that you like this video, follow along so you can see what we catch along the way. I'm sure some of these places are really gonna hit. I'm sure we'll have some misses. That's okay, we're gonna have a ton of fun regardless. For those of you that don't know me, I go by Bait Barbie on all social media platforms. I do a lot of bass fishing here in the Central Florida area. I've lived in Florida the last 2 years, been fishing very heavily during that time, and just want to share some of the joy that I've found in fishing with you guys. I just want to make it a point to show how fun fishing can be, share my adventures with you guys, and really just show that fishing is for everybody, especially my girls. So make sure that you're following along. Now this is the first place we're gonna try out. This is a spot that was recommended to me by somebody in the area, so I'm hopeful that there's some good fish in here. Looks like it starts with a little bit more of a narrower canal that leads out into a bigger pond on this side. So we'll start on this side, make our way around, see if we can't land a few. First thing that I'm noticing here is there's a lot of vegetation, tons of hydrilla, really shallow water, really clear water, but I know that there are lots and lots of bass probably hanging out under there ready to strike, waiting for those little fish to come by. Definitely something that I'm gonna start weightless. I'm not confident that something with a little bit more weight or any sort of worm weight would just get snagged. I'm gonna start light, start weightless. We'll start with a fluke and just kind of go and try out and get a feel of everything there. This is the rod that I'm going to be using here in the setup that I have. I also have on it an Evolve rod sleeve, which are awesome if you don't have any of these to keep your rods protected. They work awesome and they don't get any hooks snagged in them. This is my current go-to setup. I have a Johnny Morris Carbonlite rod. On it I have the Shimano SLX Dc bait casting reel. Love this one, it casts like a dream. It's been my new favorite since I got it recently, so this is the one that I've been reaching for the most. On it I just have a Zoom Super Fluke. Like I said, I'm gonna start out weightless and just keep it simple and throw this along top and along the edges of a lot of that hydrilla that's in there. All right, I'm gonna switch you guys to my GoPro so you can get a good angle, and fingers crossed we find something. All right, so this is where we're gonna start out. If you guys can see, lots of grass up here, got some algae and stuff in the back. There are a few little deeper pockets in between these and towards the back against the trees that I think will probably have the most luck. I'm starting weightless. We're just throwing a white Zoom Super Fluke here, and we'll kind of skip this all around to see what's hiding underneath all of that good stuff. I like to just kind of jerk the fluke around, give it a few twitches, keep a little bit of slack in the line so that those jerks pull a little bit harder. Already I can see the action going through. It's really getting through the grass. Super easy, which will make our lives easier trying to navigate some of these plants. I try to work this a little bit slower, especially weightless, so it has just a little bit of time to get further down in the water column. It's not very deep. I can see almost to the bottom here with the polarized glasses. So we're only looking at just a few feet of water. I get tons of questions from everybody on other platforms on how long I've been fishing, how did I learn to fish, when did I get started fishing, which I've always known how to fish since a young age. I learned with my dad. My dad taught me to fish when I was younger. I mostly grew up in Georgia, so we did a good bit of fishing up there. Once I moved back to Florida, which was about 2 years ago, that's when I really started getting into fishing big time and taking it more seriously and learning more about it. And I will say in the past 2 years, I've definitely fished every single week since I came back to Florida. So I would say specifically bass fishing a good solid 2 years. My current personal best is 6 pounds 6 ounces. That was one that I caught, gosh, it's been almost a year. May will be a year in 2023. So far this year, I've landed a few good ones. One was 5.14, another was 5.15. those are my biggest for the year, coming close to 6 pounds, but still not beating the biggest one I've had yet. If I catch, you know, even a 7-pounder, an 8-pounder, that would be a pretty good jump for me, so I'm super excited. All right, we've got a good bit of water to cover, so I'm not going to spend too long in one spot. Cast it a few minutes here. We'll keep making our way down and get to the other side of the pond here. Now that we've got some open water, I feel like we may actually be able to work this a little bit more. Oh, saw a little bass swim out after it. That's a good sign. I'm gonna go bring it right back into that spot. Got it. Got him. I saw him swim by the first time. All right, we got the hook out of this one. Woo! He's gonna put himself back. All right, we got our first one. It's a little guy, but we'll take it. I saw him swimming, chasing it the first time. I tried to cast pretty much in the same spot and get it in front of him. The last second, maybe a foot from the bank, he snagged it up. So we got one, that's a good sign. It's a start, it's a fish, so we'll take it. All right, let's see if we can't get this guy back in the water. Get as close as we can and give him a little toss. He's off. All right, I'm gonna take this fluke off. I feel like everybody, when stuff isn't biting, has their confidence bait. I have mine as well. I have two that I go to. It is either the Buco worm by Gecko Tackle. My other one is the Zoom speed worm. These speed worms, especially when I want a little bit more action, are awesome. I'm gonna start with this one. I just Texas rigged this. I'm gonna do it weightless as well. Just stick it through. Bring that up the worm, over the eye, and rig it just enough that when I come out, I can then bury this hook a little bit. We'll keep that one on like this. If you guys are wondering, which I'm sure some of you are, I fish a little backwards. I told you that I grew up fishing with my dad. I learned how to fish the basics with him, and so I grew up using his setups. My dad is a lefty, so everything he has is a right-hand retrieve. Instead of switching it constantly, I just got comfortable using his stuff, which puts me in a position now to be right-handed and fish as if I were a lefty. So every time you'll see me cast with my right hand, switch to my left hand to then retrieve with my right hand, which makes absolutely no sense. But at this point, in as many years as I've been fishing, it's muscle memory. I can't switch it now. I can use a left-hand retrieve if I have to. It's much more uncomfortable, especially with a bait caster. So I just keep it simple. We make it work. We're still catching fish, so it is what it is, you know? If you fish backwards too, comment down below just so I know that there are other people that are my kind of crazy out there, because sometimes I really do feel silly, but there's no changing it now. Oh, got a bite. Let's go. Oh, bit so quiet. You were quiet about that one. All right, that's number two. Another little one, less than a pound. He bit this one so quietly. I thought I was hooked onto the grass. I didn't even feel it. Barely set the hook. Regardless, we snagged another one. We'll let this guy go. Thanks, buddy. Got one. That's a better. Oh no! It came off. Dang it! Dang it! That was a better one. What is with these silent bites? They're so gentle. Just like, okay, I'm just gonna sneak here and have a nibble if you don't mind. Got one. That's a better one. Biggest one so far. This one's At least a solid pound. Look, it hooked right in the center, bottom lip piercing right there. Look at that guy. It's a better fish. Not bad. That's number 3. We'll take it. All right, buddy, let's get you back. He's off. Ugh. If it's one thing you never want to underestimate, it's the Florida heat. It may be almost 6 p.m. but it's hot. Make sure you guys stay hydrated. All right, we're gonna switch up since we have to change baits anyway. I'm gonna switch to the Buco worm. This is the Buco worm in the watermelon red from Gecko Baits. I'm just gonna Texas rig this. That's usually my go-to. I'll do it weightless. This is really a good, dense, stretchy worm, so I can still get a good bit of distance with this, even though I'm throwing it weightless. You may think that you would throw it this way with the bigger end at the top. Actually works best if you do it this way. You'll see here on the smaller end too, I don't know if you can see, it has a really small pilot hole already in the center, so you don't have to find the center of this worm. It already has a little pilot hole started. I can put my hook straight into the top like this. I'll kick it out, bring it up over the eye like your normal Texas rig, and then put it in just enough. That'll sit like this. You can vary the hook as well. And I will keep this one Texas rig just like this. Like I said, good bit of weight to it. I can cast it pretty far even on this setup, and usually does a good job of catching a good fish. So this I also work pretty slow. Can you see this big old tilapia right here on this bed? He's huge. See, even just with that little cast out there, I can get a lot of distance. I almost always throw this one weightless. I'm such a when in doubt, throw a worm person, and that's exactly what I do. I don't... Oh, we got a bite. Got one. Ugh. There we go. On the Buco worm. What I was saying was I don't pretend to be an expert on anything. I just know what typically works for me, what I'm comfortable with, what I tend to reach for, and do that. Whatever works for you, do that. Whatever baits you like, use those. These are just some of my favorites, and they seem to catch a good amount of fish. This is number 4. That's a good one. We've been at this spot for a couple hours now, worked our way down across the side, so I think we're gonna call it here, but 4 fish isn't bad. Little ones, most of them were this size. The other one was a little bit bigger, but still a fish. All right, so not bad for our first week. We ended up catching 4 fish on this one. It was almost 5. And that 5th one was definitely probably gonna be the biggest one that I had out of the other ones that I caught. But that's okay, we know they're in there. Nothing too big. I didn't see any even swimming that were really big either. More so baby bass and other smaller ones around a pound, which is fine. 4 fish is fun to catch. We know they're in there, we know where they're at. They seem to be hitting the worms a little bit more than they were with the fluke and stuff that we tried earlier. So I'll remember that whenever I come back to the spot, which I'm sure I will, because just having something to catch and knowing that they're there is always a win. So we'll keep on the hunt. Again, this is just the first week. Next week I'm gonna fish a new body of water. Next week after that, and I'm sure we're gonna land some good ones. So I appreciate you guys hanging out, watching, and tagging along with me. I'm no expert by any means. I do just enjoy sharing my adventures and sharing my journey with you guys. So I'm super excited for the channel, super excited for the content and the ideas to come. Feel free to put down in the comments some things that you wanna see too, if you have suggestions or things that you like. And we'll just have a lot of fun along the way. Make sure that you subscribe, grab me on your socials as well, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.